Welcome to AstroVenture, the DSLR astrophotography channel. So in this tutorial, I'm going to show you how to do a quick design to create your own solar filter holder for the upcoming annular eclipse. And the first thing I want to show you here is that if you have a 3D printer, you have to, learn the individual personality of each individual printer. And I'm going to be printing on a Adventurer 3, and with that, this is a test ring that I did to see exactly what my inside diameter was going to need to be printed so it would fit over the lens hood of my camera, my 150 to 600 millimeter. So outside diameter of my lens hood is 121 millimeters. However, to get the correct gapping inside, this was one of my test prints that I did, and what I learned is the hole that needs to be in the print to slide over the hood has to be a 121.85 millimeters to slide snug and smooth onto the lens hood. So we're going to go ahead and get started here with a 3D design. All right, here we go. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to grab a round. I'm going to, and the program I'm using is Tinkercad. This is a free program to do 3D design. It's a very simple program. It's a great one to get yourself started. Of course, there's more advanced programs, but this is a great one to get started. Tinkercad.com. You sign up, register an account, and there you go. So here we go. I put the sides, I slid that up to a 64 so it's nice and smooth. This is going to be set at 2 millimeters. The size that I'm going to need for this is I'm going to go 149 millimeters. Reason I'm doing 149 is the 3D printer I am using prints to a maximum of 150, and I never run my printer quite to the edge. Okay, so this is one plate that will be used as a part of the lens hood end. The end is going to actually slide on the lens hood. Okay, next, bring this over here. And for this one, I am going to again slide the sides over so it's nice and round. My height, I'm going to set this at 27 millimeters. Reason I'm doing that is I want 1 inch, and 25 millimeters is an inch. And then I've got the 2 millimeter thickness of this bottom plate, so together that makes 27. Okay, next I need the outer diameter, and based on the hole that I need passing through and wanting 2 millimeter walls, what I'm going to do is make this 125.85 millimeters. 125.85 millimeters. I'm going to bring this over. And then what I'm going to do is hit Control A so I select them all, and I'm going to go ahead and align this so it's centered. There we go. And again, selecting them all, Control A, and I am going to join these two so that it is one solid piece. Okay, next, what I'm wanting to do is I need to pass a hole through for the lens hood to go on, but I don't want the lens hood to hit into the actual solar film. So I'm going to build a lip down inside, and you'll see what I mean. So to get started here, I'm going to bring a hole over onto the platform, set the sides to 64 so it's round, and then I am going to 117.85, and then move this over. There we go. And then I'm going to set this, whoops, there we go, 117.85. There we go. Make this tall so that it punches all the way through. 27 is the maximum height, but I'm going to go ahead and set it to 28. Here we go. I'm going to slide this over. I'm going to go Control A to select all. I'm going to align again. There we go. It's all centered. Control A to grab it all, and I'm going to make it into one. Okay, so here we go. We now have that hole passing through, but as I said, I want a lip down in here to prevent the lens hood from sliding into the actual film. So I'm going to grab a hole again, bring the hole over. I will go ahead and set the height on this one at 25. And the reason being is because I'm going to lift this off the platform by 2 millimeters. And that's what you're seeing here. It is now off the platform by 2. So that'll give me that lip. Now, the size that I need, as I said earlier, the inner diameter, the opening that I need, specifically to my printer that I have, messed around with to get the exact, I need 121.85 millimeters. And then I'm going to come over here, 121.85 millimeters. I'm going to slide my sides up to 64 so it's smooth and round. I'm going to drag this over on top. I'm going to hit Control A to select all, and I am going to align. Here we go. We are aligned. And now what I will do is come up here and I will click Group, put them all together, and now you can see this lip on the inside. So when my lens hood slides down and in, it will bump into this lip now before it actually hits the film. Now, because of perspective, it looks like it's wider here and thinner here, but it's not. It's just the perspective of what you're looking at. So here we go. This is the part that will actually slide onto the lens hood. Next, what I need to do is I will pass through some bolts that will join the plate that we're going to design in a moment, but I need to get those holes set up. So I'm going to come back over, grab a hole, bring it in. 3 millimeters will work great for the small bolts that I'm going to pass through. And now what I'm going to do is bring this over to the side. I'm going to select it one time. I'm going to come up here and I'm going to duplicate, and then I will move the duplicate over. I'm going to duplicate again. There's the third one. Duplicate again. There's my fourth. So I have the 4 holes that I'm going to be setting up to go through this. Okay, so let's grab this first one. I'm going to bring it over here. And what I want to do is get this lined up, centered left to right, and I want it lined up with this bottom edge. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to left click and drag, and because this box that opens goes over the screw hole that we're about to put in and part of the solar filter bracket, it will actually select both of those. But notice I haven't selected any of these. Now I'm going to come up here. I'm going to do my alignment. So there's the left to right, and then I'm going to click this one, which will bring it up to the edge. Now down here in the lower right, it shows you that any movement I do using my arrow keys will move in increments of 1 millimeter. So I'm now going to left click on that hole, and I'm going to press my up arrow key. So I'm sending it back in the image 3 times, 1, 2, 3, and it has moved it 3 millimeters in from the outer edge. Now again, I'm going to left click drag over so that I select all of these pieces, and I'm going to group them together to join them. And there you go, there's that hole. Okay, now we're going to do the same thing, but what I'm going to do is rotate this, and to rotate I right clicked, and then I held that down and I was able to rotate. Now I'm going to go ahead and center this up. I can press down on the mouse's rolly wheel and slide it over. Okay, now I'm going to grab this hole, slide it up here to the edge, release, left click and drag the red box so that I select both the hole and the bracket piece. Do my alignment again. It looks like because it's light gray, I'm already lined left and right. Let me see, oops. Okay, so it looks like I'm already aligned, just happened to be sheer dumb luck. Now I'm going to come over here to this edge to get the edge aligned. There we go. I left clicked anywhere else to deselect. I'm going to left click on the hole 3 times on my arrow key to move it away from me. And there we go. It's now in the spot that I want. Left drag to select and group those. Okay, and again, right click and turn. Here we go. I'm going to grab one of the holes, bring the hole over, put it at the edge, left click and drag, so I select, align, we're already aligned there, and then edge align, there we go, left click 1 time on the hole, arrow key away from me 3 times to move it in 3 millimeters, left click and drag to select, and I'm going to group again. Okay, now I'm going to grab this hole, move it over here, and I'm now going to rotate again. Okay, here we go. Drag this over, put it up there at the edge. Now I'm going to left click and drag, so I select. I'm going to align. Okay, so there's the center line, there's the edge align. Then I selected it, then I clicked anywhere else to deselect. I'm now going to left click on the hole, arrow key away from me, 1, 2, 3. And now that's moved in, left click and drag to select both objects again and group. There we go. We now have this set up so we've got an inner lip that'll hit the lens hood. We've got a 2 millimeter wall that will slide onto the lens hood, and then we've got this outer ring which will help to clamp the solar film down, and we have our holes here for bolting it together. So what I'm going to do is come up here to the left, and I am going to label this as lens sleeve for my filter. I can click anywhere else, and then I will left click on export, and I will export it as an STL, and it sent it to my downloads. From there, if you have a 3D printer, you would know what to do with the STL, and you open up whatever program it is you are going to use. Okay, next, we're going to go ahead and create ourselves a new design, and what it is we have to build the other side, the other plate that will be farthest away from your lens, because that first piece actually slides on the lens. So here we go. We're going to take this, bring it over, and again, set it to a 64 so it's round. I'm going to set the thickness to 2 millimeters. I'm going to set the diameter 149 millimeters, and then 149 millimeters. There we go. I'm going to slide this over to the center. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to be putting that hole through here, leaving that lip that we had designed into the other one, so that way it matches the narrowest point from the lens sleeve. And to bring that over, here's the hole. And on this one, I can leave it at the height it is. That won't matter. But that inner hole was a 117.85. And then 117.85. Okay, slide this over to 64 so it's round. Left click drag, drop it on top. Control A to grab everything. We're going to align left, right, front, back. And now we can group it all. There we go. Now we need to put our holes in so that it will bolt up and match up. Okay, grab a hole, bring it over here. And we're going to set this to round. Set this to a 3 millimeter and 3 millimeter. There we go. I'm going to move this to the edge. I'm going to duplicate it. And I'm just going to use the arrow key and slide it up. I can hit duplicate again. There's the third. And one more time, there is the fourth. Okay, and then Okay, so here we go. Let's bring this over, and we're now going to left click, select both, do our align, left, right, and then edge align. And again, I'm moving these away from me by 3. 1, 2, 3. There we go. I can select both now and group. Okay, next we're going to rotate. Bring this over so we have this edge. Okay, and there we go. Drag this up here to the edge. Left click to select both. I'm going to align, left, right. That's already good. Front, oops, didn't mean to do that. Meant to do an edge align. There we go. Left click on the hole, 3 arrow keys away to bring it 3 millimeters in. And left click and drag over so that we select them and group. Okay, again, right click, drag and rotate. Bring one of the holes over here to the edge. Left click and select to get both. Align, center, edge align. Left click on just the hole, arrow 3 times away. Left click to deselect, left click and drag to grab all, and group. Okay, last one. I'm going to grab this hole, bring it over here, put it along the edge, left click deselect, left click drag to select both. Align centered is good, and edge align. There we go. Left click on the hole, 3 arrow keys away. Left click to deselect, left click drag to select all. And there we go. Now we have this. Now I'm going to label this as lens plate. Enter. I can now click export to download the STL. And then just to show you, I'm going to Control C, copy, and I am going to go back to the previous just to show you how they line up. And then you would end up getting a bolt to pass through on each one of these. Okay, I'm going to lift this up off of the bed now. I'm going to go Control V to bring this in. I'm going to Control A to select all. I'm going to click on the align. There we go, left, right, front, back. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this down, but keep it 2 millimeters off the bed because that's the thickness of the plate. There we go. And now I am going to click top view. And as you look, and I'm pressing the mouse wheel down, you can see the hole passing through on each one of these, so you know that they will align. And there you have it. Now, the biggest takeaway from this is you need to do those practices with the printer you're using and getting that sleeve, that inner hole, to the exact diameter you need. And then from here, the next part would be is after this is printed, I will rejoin you and we will assemble all of this and get it going. There you have it. Okay, so here we are in the slicer that I use for my my Adventurer 3. This is the flash print from FlashForge. And we're going to go ahead and get started. You can see this barely fits within the Adventurer 3, but it works. I have larger printers, but this works for what I need. Now you may, if you use FlashForge printers, you may notice this is some older software. It is. But I'm very much one of those people that if the software is working, I don't update it because I don't want to create new problems unless there's something in the update that is new that I really want. Otherwise, I stay where I am. So here we go. What I'm going to do when I get this printing here is I do my layer height at 0.16, and I'm doing my first layer at 0.2. Yes, with 3D printing, we do a larger, heavier first lay down, but the thing is I don't want to go messing up the holes for the bolts where we assemble all of this. So I'll go with the 0.2, and I find that I don't have any problem with that staying down. And then my infill for this, I'm going to leave this at 15%. And then let's see here. And then my first layer, there we go. Travel speed, base speed, first layer maximum speed. I like to kick that down to 5 millimeters per second. I know it's slow, but I have just found that consistently, if I always throw down that first layer at 5 millimeter movement speed, works out really well for me. Other than that, I'm going to leave it where it is. And let me make sure I don't have any kind of enable raft. No, I don't want a raft on this. Okay, because I've got enough surface area for it. Okay, there we go. Okay, and we're going to start this, let it slice. Again, if you're doing 3D printing, this is nothing new to you, and this is not intended to be a video for you to learn how to use your 3D printer. Okay, lens sleeve, here we go, okay. Save. And it looks like this is going to be a 4-hour, 15-minute print. It's going to take a little bit of time. Boy, am I really missing my Friday date to get this out. Okay, so here we go. And I'm just going to check, make sure it is on my flash. Let's see here, 3D printer, lens sleeve, there it is. And you know what, while I am here, I'm going to go ahead and close this and open up the flash print again. And I might as well go ahead and get the lens plate part finished as well. No, I don't want a new layer or a new version. Let's see here. I apologize for the bit of sniffling. Allergies kicking in there. Okay, I'll throw this on here. Put it on the platform. There we go. Okay, print. Kick this down to the 0.16. Layer height 0.2. Raft. No. Infill 15. And then my minimum travel speed, or excuse me, first layer maximum speed 5. Okay. Send that up to the 3D printer, save. And here we go. This is going to be 2 hours for just this piece alone. There we go. Okay. I have everything I need. Let's rejoin at the printer. Okay, let's get started. So, a few supplies that we're going to need here. This is the 2mm foam that I got from Hobby Lobby. And again, 2mm works great. We're also going to need our lens hood that we 3D printed. We will be needing a razor blade and then a Sharpie. Now, to do this, what we're going to do is place the lens hood onto the foam, and we will go ahead and trace that around. There we go. So we've got the lens hood traced for the outer, and then we're going to need to trace the inner, because all we're needing is kind of a so to say a gasket in the center to hold our film down. So there we have it. And then next I will go ahead and take the razor blade and cut this out. And I'm going to go ahead and stop the camera at this point, because it's going to take a little bit of work getting in here and precisely cutting this. Again, it doesn't have to be that precise, but it'll be a little easier to do without the camera in the way. And then I'll cut one more of these gaskets, so that way I have one on each side of the film that goes into the bracket. Okay, Astroventures, here we are. So what I've done here is I took my gasket, I laid it on top, and then I used the Sharpie to mark where it is that I needed to make my cuts, and then my gasket will simply slip on here and I will assemble. Now, we're going to go ahead and do this other one, and hopefully this works well on the camera. So again, I'm going to place this up here, and then I will go ahead and make marks. And then what I also did is, after I got done 3D printing this, I used a 9/64 drill bit just to clean up those holes and make sure there weren't any burrs or leftover plastic material. Okay, now looking at my gasket here, I've got my little dots, and I will go ahead and take my scissors, and I will go ahead and cut these out for the bolt holes. There we go, there's one. Trim this one down, and then once I do this, I will place it onto the lens plate and check my fit and make sure that I am good. Okay, so there's my scraps, push those out of the way, and then I can lay this up on here and make sure that looks good. Looks like I might need to trim this one just a little bit. Now, the film that I am using is, I ordered some Beta solar film. They do have some instructions for being able to make your own solar filter using cardboard and tape and things. And personally, I just prefer doing something a little bit stronger, a little bit more rigid like this here. Okay, excellent. So now what I'm going to do is go ahead and assemble this, make sure everything fits, because I don't want to find out that something doesn't fit when I get to the film part. There we go. And I can go ahead and drop this on. Now, the film that I'm using is in a square, and what I will do is, once I have this all assembled, I will then trim it down to the round and clean all of this up. Let's see here. This is one of those things where smaller fingers work a little better to get this going. There we go. And the bolts that I'm using, you see there, they are number 6, 32 thread per inch and 1/2 inch in length. There we go. That looks good. And there's no need to put all of the bolts on. I'm just going to slip these through and make sure. There we go. And then got to learn to quit putting my arm in front of things. And then slip this one through. And there we go. Looks like that sandwiches well. Okay, so let's move on to the next part. Let's move on to the scary part, because we don't want to mess up our film. Okay, now the film that I'm going to be using is, as I said, I am using Beta film. Good reputable company, quality material. Okay, so here's my film, and it's in between these two protective sleeves. Now, looking at my film, it looks like in the shipping there's a little bit of creasing that happened. So I'm going to take a moment and step off camera and check out my film and see how good it is. Make sure that I don't have any issues or concerns. There's where I've got a little crease in the corner, but that'll be okay. That's not going to be an issue. because I won't be using that part. And then one of the things that they explain is when you get ready to do the cutting on your film, they explain keep the pieces of paper in place to do your cutting. Okay, so here we go. Yeah. There's where I'm going to go. There's my mark. And then, let's see here. Put my mark. There we go. Excellent. Okay. Now, I can get this paper up. And again, I'm not too worried about the corners because I'm not using it. You'll see that I don't have a mark over here. Reason being is I'm not worried about that one. And the reason I'm not worried about that one is that it's just the bolt will actually pass to the side. So I'm going to come over here. There's my marks. Ever so gently. I'm going to go ahead and cut. Now this particular film that I have, this Beta film, it is metallized on both sides. One of the things you want to make sure is that you know which side it is that you need to put towards the sun. On this particular one, as I said, it's metallized in both. Okay, and I'm gonna put this up here. Okay, that one is cut. And let's see, making sure everything's in place. Take your time. What I'm gonna do, just so I make sure that I'm not causing a thumb crease, I'm going to put this cardboard backing behind it to do my cut. I don't want to overpressure with my thumb and crease the film. There we go. Now over to this one. Okay, that looks good. Make sure that's where I need it. Looking good so far. Come over here. Cut this off. One of the things you might be thinking is the fact that I put that Sharpie on and there is a chemical that can bleed through. However, it was a quick touch, very minimal, and I'm cutting that off. Okay, now what I'm going to do is go ahead and assemble. And in doing this, I'm going to leave the film on for the moment. I'll leave that backing on and make sure everything lines up before I get rid of the backing. Yeah, this looks like that's going to work for me. And I would also suggest when you're doing this, wear some white cotton gloves just to protect your film. I'm not too worried because of the fact that I am able to grab the corners on this because I'm not going to be using the corners of my solar film. Okay, that looks good to me. Okay, now I'm going to get this off, grabbing just the corner, lay it on here. Okay, and then
go. That one's in place. This will definitely be easier with an extra set of hands. Go. Got that one through. Okay. There we go. There we go. Okay. I'm going to place this one on. That in place. There we go. Now, place this on, and then in just a moment, I will go ahead and get the paper out. Get it off of the film. I'm going to put these bolts on. Not tightening them down, just putting them on so they're on. Now I'm going to carefully take this paper out. Just rip it there. Pull it. Press this down. There we go. Excellent. Okay, let me give this a little bit of a snug. There we go. Just lightly snugging. There we go. Placing this one on. Now as I do this, I want to be very careful that I don't drop the nut onto the film. You need to protect this film. Treat it as though it were the mirror of your telescope, which you would not want to have any abrasions on. I do see my film has a little bit of a mark there. Not worried about it as far as light coming through. Hopefully there's no distortion. However, I will do some test shooting with it and make sure that there isn't any distortion. If there is, I'll just shoot a little bit to the side and then I should be good. Let's see here. Excellent. Okay. Overall, that looks good. Okay, now at this point here, so this is finished. It's ready. The only thing that I would say is at this point, I'm going to sit down and trim it up, and I'm not going to do it in front of the camera because I want to patiently take my time and do it. But I'll go ahead and clean this up all the way around the edges, and then I also put it so that these screws will come through just a little bit, and that allows it to be able to be sat face down if I wanted. Gives just that little bit of extra protection to it. But there you have it. There's a 3D printed solar filter. And if you're wondering as to why it was that I went with the gray, I did that because I did not want to absorb any more heat, using a black filament and possibly cause some warping of the filament. So there you have it. If you like what you saw here, consider liking, subscribing, ringing that bell, and share this video out. Until next time, I wish you clear skies and uneventful nights.